23-year-old Kimberly Rose Abercrombie left her home in Brooksville, Kentucky on June 13, 2013, telling her family that she would be back later. Kimberly was known as a quiet and thoughtful young woman who cared deeply for her family, especially her young son. She expressed herself through meaningful tattoos that reflected important parts of her life, and she stayed closely connected to the people she trusted. When she didn't return home that day, her family became concerned. Hours passed with no contact, and the situation quickly shifted from a routine absence to something far more serious. Later that same day, her car was found at the park and pool area in Johnsville along the AA highway. Inside the vehicle were her clothes, her wallet, and other personal items. The keys were missing and there was no sign of Kimberly anywhere. This location became the final confirmed point in her timeline. The Kentucky State Police opened an investigation immediately. Detectives began by examining the vehicle and the belongings left inside it. They looked for signs of direction, struggle, or travel, but nothing around the car provided a clear explanation for why it had been left there or where Kimberly may have went afterwards. There were no confirmed sightings of her at the park, and no witnesses came forward who could place her at that location. Investigators interviewed people who knew Kimberly, reviewed her recent contacts, and attempted to reconstruct her movements leading up to the day she disappeared. They looked into her relationships, routines, and any possible plans she may have had on June 13th. None of these efforts produced a verified lead. Without witnesses, surveillance footage, or confirmed communication from Kimberly after she left home, the timeline remained limited to the few facts established that day. The investigation continued, but without new information, progress slowed. Kimberly's family worked to keep her case visible. They described her as a devoted mother who kept her son at the center of her world. For her family, the lack of answers has been the most difficult part. They have lived with uncertainty for more than a decade, holding on to the hope that someone may eventually come forward with information. Her son has grown up without the mother who loved him, and her family continues to search for the truth. The investigation is still open, and law enforcement encourages anyone with information to contact the Kentucky State Police. "26-year-old Stephen Keith Bartley disappeared on March 15, 2018 in Louisville, Kentucky. He was last seen walking near the Falcon Crest Apartments with no signs of distress or urgency. This became the final confirmed sighting of him. In the months leading up to his disappearance, Stephen spent time at the Holiday Mobile Home Park in Okolona, a place he felt comfortable and surrounded by people he knew. When investigators later retraced his steps, they focused on that area, hoping someone might recall a detail that could explain where he went after the last walk, but no information surfaced that offered direction, and the trail faded almost immediately. When Stephen didn't return home and no one could reach him, his disappearance was reported to the Louisville Metro Police Department. Detectives opened a missing persons case, but from the beginning they faced a difficult challenge. His phone and finances showed no activity, leaving investigators without any digital clues. They spoke with people he knew and searched for any pattern that might explain what happened. But every lead dissolved and the investigation reached a standstill. Stephen's disappearance didn't erase the life he lived or the impact he had on those around him. They remember his loyalty and the kind way that he connected with others. Some have wondered whether Stephen might have chosen to step away from his life, but nothing in his behavior or circumstances supports that idea. Others have considered the possibility of an accident, that he may have been injured somewhere out of sight. but searches in the surrounding areas revealed nothing and no clues emerged to support that scenario. The idea of foul play has also been raised, but again, without evidence, investigators cannot confirm any specific theory. His family continues to hope for answers. If you have any information on the disappearance of Stephen Keith Bartley, please contact the Louisville Metro Police Department. 32-year-old Samantha Dawn Bratcher disappeared on November 5, 2021 in Central City, Kentucky. On the day she vanished, Samantha was reportedly dropped off at Jumpkin Jack's truck stop in Morgantown, but when investigators reviewed the surveillance footage from the truck stop, she didn't appear on any of the cameras. That missing piece became the first major challenge in understanding what happened that day. In the days leading up to her disappearance, Samantha spent time with the people closest to her. She enjoyed talking with family, being with her children, and staying connected to those she trusted. Those who knew her describe her as thoughtful and caring. She had a soft, kind spirit, and she valued the relationships she built. With Samantha never appearing on any of the recordings at the truck stop, that missing confirmation created a significant challenge, removing what should have been the clearest point in her timeline. With that lead dissolving, investigators shifted their focus to the hours before the reported drop-off. They spoke with individuals who had interacted with Samantha earlier in the day, hoping to establish a clear picture of her movements. They asked about conversations, plans, and anything that might help them understand where she intended to go or who she might have been with. Each interview added small pieces to context, but none provided the breakthrough they needed. The silver 2004 Nissan Altima she had been associated with was also examined. Investigators hoped the vehicle might offer clues, but the car did not lead to any new information. There were no belongings inside that pointed towards a direction of travel, and no one came forward with a sighting that helped narrow down the timeline. Detectives also looked into nearby roads, parking lots, and common travel routes, but each effort ended in the same place, nothing to build outward from. They checked for digital activity and financial transactions, but there were no signs of movement after November 5th. Please contact the Muhlenberg County Sheriff's Office if you have any information on the disappearance of Samantha Dawn Bratcher. 33-year-old Norma Jo Brown disappeared on September 25, 2014 in Mount Sterling, Kentucky. On the day she vanished, Norma was seen getting into a vehicle with a man at her home. She left with the expectations of returning, and nothing about the scene suggested anything unusual. But after she stepped into that vehicle, Norma was never seen again. When Norma was reported missing, the Kentucky State Police began working to reconstruct her final known movements. The first confirmed detail was the sighting of her getting into a vehicle with a man at her residence. Investigators worked to identify the individual, determine where they went, and whether anyone else had seen them afterward. This initial detail became the foundation of the investigation, but it offered only a narrow window into what might have happened. Detectives began by speaking with people who had seen or spoken to Norma in the days leading up to her disappearance. They asked about her plans, her mood, and whether she had mentioned anything unusual. They also looked into the man she was last seen with, hoping to determine whether he had information that could explain her sudden absence. A possible sighting placed Norma walking with a man named Kevin Howard, someone she knew. This detail became an early point of interest because only weeks later, Howard and another man, Charles Black, were charged in the murder of Randall Russ, a separate case that occurred in August of that same year. Because Norma knew all three men, investigators examined whether her disappearance could be connected to the homicide. They reviewed timelines, interviewed individuals familiar with the group, and looked for any overlap that might explain her sudden disappearance. They considered whether she might have witnessed something, heard something, or had been unintentionally caught up in events surrounding the Russ case. No evidence surfaced that directly linked Norma's disappearance to the homicide. Investigators could not confirm that the cases were connected, but they also could not rule it out. Norma's loved ones remember her for her kindness, sincerity, and the warming strength that she carried with her. If you have any information on the disappearance of Norma Jo Brown, please contact the Muhlenberg County Sheriff's Office.